Courage Season 2. I was gonna put this in one giant video and then I was like, that is such a long video. So that's why everything is split up. So please enjoy Season 2. A company named Farm and House makes a delivery to the farmhouse. It's new kitchen curtains that come with a complimentary packet of seeds. Eustace is annoyed because nothing ever grows out here, which is not true because we've seen Muriel grow some stuff. He throws them out the window and hits Courage with them, who's just playing sandcastles, trying to have fun. He buries the seeds and then a rain cloud comes out of nowhere right over where he buried it, and a tree grows.
Oh my, Courage!
Eustace is jealous because nothing ever grows for him. Muriel is happy for Courage, but then realizes that her pie is burning and wishes for a new oven.
I wish I had a new oven.
There's a ruckus outside, and when they go out to check, they see a new oven waiting for them. Courage plays with his little truck, and he wishes in his head that he got a real truck. And guess what pops up? Yes, Courage and Muriel are having a blast digging around the yard.
What fun, Courage!
And Eustace continues to be a hater. He says that he's going to the picture show since he's obviously not wanted here. Muriel says that she wishes they could watch a movie, and a movie projector pops up. Eustace is seething with anger and tries to take down the tree by crashing his car into it. But Muriel stops him.
Where are your marbles?
She says that this tree is providing for them, and Eustace says that's my job though, which is like insane. That night when he's bringing in Muriel's rocking chair from the tree, he mumbles,
I wish she had a bigger head and she'd know better.
and the next day Muriel does.
Oh.
They call the doctor and he can't do anything about it.
This is the worst case of bully I have ever seen.
What? No!
Courage goes to the tree and the tree comes to life.
Courage. Courage.
It has a realistic mouth, which looks weird, but it's not evil. It tells Courage that he has a cure, but it will take 3 days, and after those 3 days are over, he will be cut down. This makes Courage really sad, and he sees Eustace sharpening his axe.
Down you go! Chop, chop, chop! No!
Courage builds a moat around the tree to try to protect it, even with an evil monster in the moat.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
Eustace becomes a barbarian and tries to get to that tree to chop it down. Courage gets a call from the doctor telling him that he has the cure. So Courage rushes while Eustace isn't paying attention to the doctor's office to get the cure.
I have the cure. This will cure your broken leg.
Unfortunately, while Courage is gone, Eustace has the opportunity to cut the tree down. Before he can do it, the tree asks Eustace if this will make him feel better and make him feel more important.
Well, yes!
When Courage gets back, he finds the tree chopped down. Courage cries, but the tree tells him that he has the cure, and it's the tree flowers mixed with pure hornet honey. He feeds it to Muriel, and it works instantly. Courage and Muriel go outside to the tree stump that now has a flower growing out of it. Eustace is inside with a big-ass tattoo asking Muriel when the tree will grow back.
Is the tree growing back yet?
Now we have a new end screen, which is this. Super cute. Liquid Death number 2. There's an army of robots obliterating mountains on this foreign planet. Randy is up next and they're clowning him for not destroying things, and he purposefully misses.
I don't want to destroy things.
The leader tells him that he needs to prove that he can be a real robot. He tells him that he needs to conquer a new world and he cannot return until he does. This new world is Earth, obviously. Randy's rocket lands right outside of the house. He comes out and he's gigantic.
Oh my!
He plants his flag and uses his mad that he's on his property, and he challenges his power, so Randy blows up their house. Courage, Muriel, and Eustace become these cavemen-like slaves to Randy, and they keep making statues of him. So many statues, while Randy carves wood. Courage accidentally pickaxes Eustace's foot and he refuses to work. So because of this insubordination, they are sent to stomp on mud for some reason. That night we see Randy in the barn, surrounded by hundreds of wooden reindeer that he's been carving.
I'm going to name you Ivana. That's a good reindeer name.
He wishes that he can just do this instead of taking over the world, and Courage overhears this.
Oh?
He steals a reindeer and shows it to Muriel. Randy is not amused by this and tells him to get back to work. Muriel faints. And Courage can't hold on to the boulder, so he lets it fall and it knocks over all of the statues like dominoes. Randy is pissed and snatches them up, and Courage challenges his greatness, so they have a little battle. If Courage wins, he'll free them, but if Randy wins, they all die. And what is this competition? Breakdancing. Randy's stupid ass spins way too hard and crash lands. Making Courage the winner. Yes! We hear Muriel and Eustace screaming because they're literally about to get crushed by these rocks. Randy takes out the rock. Muriel thanks Courage, but then Courage tells him that it was the robot who saved him. The robot just has zero self-esteem, and he's like, no, I'm a failure. But then Muriel says that he has to be good at something, and Courage pulls out the wooden reindeer. And they convince him to just make these reindeer and give them as gifts.
You make anything else?
I'm starting not to really feel too bad for these types of villains because they do torture the three of them, and then we're supposed to feel bad because they have a little self-confidence issue. I don't care. Leave them alone. Muriel asks Eustace if he's excited for his birthday party, which Courage is blowing up balloons for. There's a knock at the door, and it's Shirley, who we saw from Shirley the Medium. She is asking for change. Muriel reaches in her bag and gives her change, pie, and a tea set. Shirley asks Courage if he has anything, and he pulls out his gold tooth. She still asks Eustace if he has something, and he says no and slams the door in her face. Shirley curses Eustace for this.
Your sky shall be dark as your heart.
As much as I don't like Eustace, I feel like he just doesn't deserve this. You got so much stuff already, just leave. You got a gold tooth. The curse is this dark cloud following him around.
Eustace, where are you going?
To the picture show.
Eustace, the curse.
There ain't no curse.
He tries to make it seem at first like it doesn't bother him, but it follows him everywhere. He tries to go to the picture show and the cloud blocks other people's views, so he gets kicked out. He walks throughout the city and he's still being the same old grump that he usually is. He sees an old lady struggling to cross, doesn't help her.
You got legs, don't you? Help yourself.
he sees a guy getting mugged and probably killed who just asks him, please just give this letter to my fiance so she knows I didn't just leave her at the altar.
Tell her I love her!
I ain't buying any stamps.
He goes back home and tries to sleep, but Muriel kicks him out because he's making the bed soggy.
Eustace?
Eh?
The bed's getting soggy.
So he has to sleep on the roof. He drops his glasses and thinks that Courage, who went up to the roof to bring him a blanket, is a monster.
Huh? No solicitors. We don't want this.
The next day is Eustace's party, and the guests include his mom and the doctor.
Good to see ya.
Muriel tries to get him to come downstairs, but he refuses. He's up there freezing and growing mushrooms. He thinks the pipe on the roof is a monster.
You want a piece of me?
But then he falls down the chimney and the guests just leave. He still can't see and thinks that Muriel is a monster, so Courage freaks out. He just thinks that Eustace is pulling a shiny on him. Courage finds Shirley and she tells him that Eustace must find the generosity and see himself as others see him. She does have a mirror though to help. He brings it up to the roof. And still not being able to see, he thinks Courage is a little kid who looks just like him and he's crying.
My head is burning.
Where's your hat?
I don't have one.
No hat?
So Eustace gives this kid his hat. This lifts the curse, but Eustace is super sick. He's in bed and Muriel tells him that he should thank Courage for lifting the curse, but all Eustace sees is Courage wearing his hat, so he snatches it back, bringing the curse back.
There ain't no such thing as a curse.
So now I think that he deserves it. Muriel won a sitter contest and gets to go to New York City to perform at the Radio City Music Hall.
Yes!
They're looking for the entrance and everyone's being so rude.
Hey!
Watch where you're going, you fool!
I love it so much. This giant bug tells him that he can get them in earlier and they follow him. He hears that they won a contest and so they get to go through this special artist only door. In the elevator, this guy tells him that his name is Bushwick, but he prefers just Schwick. But he's from Bushwick. He shows him a door that says danger and he tells him that this is the rehearsal studio. Inside there are chains, skeletons, and writing on the window that says help. But there's also a TV, so Eustace has something to do while Muriel practices. Schwig tells Courage that he has an errand to run, but he can't leave, so Courage has to deliver this package, or else they get it. And he shows him this little door with a lock on it. So Courage is in the big city. And he is so scared, he even runs from cops.
Need some help.
He goes on one of those carriages and we've seen this driver before. The address he gave him was to the big spooky house. He has to go inside. Inside everything is red. He opens some doors and just sees monsters behind it. The last one he opens
I just know something bad is going to happen.
is of this little girl playing the violin, and he thinks it's okay until she turns around and does this. He finds a door labeled package, and they just give him this gift box with chains on it.
Things I do for love.
But we do see that the cop is lurking on him. Courage is on the subway next to a sleepy giraffe, and honestly, Courage, why would you sit next to the only other person in the cart? You sit far away from them. He sees a newspaper that says evil package still at large. It's the same exact one that he has. The cop appears too and gets suspicious. Courage dangles a donut and tricks him to exiting the cart. This works, but somehow the cop sneaks back onto the train. He tries to move through the carts, but then the conductor sees the evil package and freaks out and jumps out the window. The cop catches up to Courage and asks him for his license and registration, but then realizes that no one's driving the train, so freaks out too.
Runaway train!
Courage jumps off the train, but then his guilt gets the better of him and he jumps back on to try to save the train. Back at the rehearsal studio, they tell them 5 minutes until showtime, and Schwitz reiterates that Courage better be back before then. Courage crashes through. He gives him the package, and when he opens it, it's just a squeegee and it's bent, so it doesn't work, and he gets really mad at him. He unlocks the little door, but Courage takes Muriel and runs through the train to try to get to the surface. They end up on the stage where Muriel was supposed to perform. Schwitz follows them, but the curtains go up when he gets there, and the cop is behind it, and they arrest Bushwick.
It's just
It cuts back to Eustace, who's still in his chair watching TV, but he's just bones because the thing behind the little door ate him up.
2,000 channels and still nothing to watch.
I don't really understand the end goal of this guy. I mean, he was picking up a package. Why couldn't he just leave? Why was his evil lair literally right underneath the actual stage? Like, I thought they would have been somewhere completely different, but no, it was literally right there. He literally gave them the special artist entrance. I don't understand what he was trying to do. It's bedtime and Courage hears a crash. He tries to warn them, but only gets kicked out of the room.
Stupid dog!
He goes downstairs and sees this guy rummaging through their fridge. And when he spots Courage, he smacks him with the fish. Muriel and Eustace come down, and he also smacks them with the fish. He tells Courage to tie them up while he looks out for the law. So Courage starts to tie them up, but then he comes back and is like, why are you tying up?
Mama mashed potatoes and Uncle Twinkle toes. Oh?
He tells Courage that he's their cousin Basil. They decide to play along so that they don't. Muriel tries to call the cops, but the line has been cut. So now Muriel has to figure out what this secret recipe is that Basil is talking about. There are sirens outside, and this snaps Basil back into robber mode. He makes Courage answer the door, and the cops are like, have you seen this guy? And Courage is like, yes, he's in my house. Please go get him. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll keep looking. And they leave, and then Courage goes back to the kitchen and sees that Muriel and Eustace are tied up again. Basil has reverted back, and he tells them that they have to pull a job together. They go to fucking Mount Rushmore. They're pickaxing away when they get spotted by helicopters. Basil tries to run away by climbing into Abraham Lincoln's nose, and the cops try to pick him with a giant finger. Muriel feels bad and wants to help him out, so Courage goes in through the ear after cleaning out the earwax. Ew. He finds Basil, who's slowly getting picked out of the nose, and reaches an arm to help him escape. So since the cops couldn't get him, they leave, they give up. Basil is grateful for his family and proposes a new job, but Muriel is like, no more crime. Basil decides to just do what Courage, which is Nigel to him, told him he should always do. At home, they read a letter from Basil telling them that he pursued his passion of becoming an eel massage therapist.
But I'm happier now than I've ever been.
And then we also see that he got the rest of Mount Rushmore and put it under the farm.
But I wonder what the lad did with the rest of Mount Rushmore. I guess we'll never know.
I hate Basil so much. He's so annoying, and I hate that Muriel always feels bad for these type of people. The one time I agree with Eustace, just let it go. Our crew is at the table playing bingo when an asteroid hits Earth and knocks it off of its axis.
NC 17.
It causes it to spin for 1,000 years. After it's done, everyone gets sick and they try to get the news to see what's going on, but there's no signal. So Eustace tries to go outside to fix the antenna. Their house is underground. Muriel sends Courage up to the surface. When he gets up there, he sees that things are normal up there. Finds a banana on the floor and goes to eat it, and when he turns around, it starts crying. It's a baby banana. The mom banana sees Courage trying to eat her baby, so she calls the cops.
He's the one who tried to eat my baby!
Muriel and Eustace pop out too, and now the cops are chasing all of them. Courage takes them and hides behind this alley. When they're hiding, they find a newspaper that says that the year is 3001. This weirdo comes up to them and tells them that he has disguises so they can blend in, and it's old banana peels.
Then fit into this.
Why, that's lovely.
How much you got?
I don't have any money on me.
Ain't got none either.
Well, don't look at me.
But now they can move freely in this society. They follow a crowd of bananas to a rally for their banana leader. He tells them to go to Banana Hala to get all of their questions answered. But Courage has to use the bathroom and he doesn't know how to tell the genders apart. Somehow still goes into the wrong one. But inside the bathroom, that same sus fella is waiting for him, and he wants this anchor that was in Courage's pocket that he refused to give up before, and he takes it and throws Courage down the drain to avoid witnesses.
Down the drain you go.
Courage ends up in Banana Hala, and he can see an old banana come in, but then he slips on a peel. And then there's this giant ape who peels him and puts him in the sundae. And is about to eat him, and then we see a pile of banana skins showing us that he's been eating all these citizens. Courage goes outside to try to warn them. They just want to go home, so they don't really listen to him. So then Courage sees some people who are still looking for him as the baby snatcher, and he tears off his costume. And he has everyone chase him to the leader's room. The leader refuses to help him, so Courage squeezes him so tight that he pops out of his skin, revealing that he was a monkey disguising himself as a banana person. The citizens chase him back to Banana Hollow, and he blames it all on his uncle, saying that it was his idea to do this.
It was my uncle's idea.
So this giant ape inside gets jumped by all these bananas, and they're forced to perform as dancing monkeys. Muriel, Eustace, and Courage are at the show, and they're like, this is cool, but like, how do we get home? We see the chaos from earlier just backwards this time, and everything goes back to normal. They're still playing bingo. Muriel wins and gets her prize, which is a giant thing of bananas.
All right, Muriel. You won the prize.
And one of them is the creep from the bathroom, and this scares Courage.
Come here. I got something for you.
Makes you wonder, why are these people just bananas and then there's still like regular monkeys around, you know? I truly wish sometimes that these episodes were in the half-hour slots, because can you imagine how much more detail we could have gotten? The archaeologist is in a tomb. He finds this gem that reflects and causes this to happen. This mummy comes out of its tomb and attacks him. At home, Courage is doing the laundry per Eustace's request, and there's a knock at the door. It's the archaeologist who got his ass beat by the mummy. He tells him that what happened to him isn't super important, but what is important is what happened 1,000 years ago. A Mayan princess loved cookies. Each day, the royal baker would whip out a jar of cookies. They were delivered by her most trusted poobah. This poobah would then steal some of the cookies and sell them on the side to make some money. One day, the baker caught him and tried to warn the princess, but the poobah got to him first, and the princess believed the poobah over the baker. She ordered the royal baker to have his mouth sewn shut, eyebrows plucked, and body mummified. So this guy was framed, then killed, then rose from the dead, and he's on his way to them to get this revenge because Muriel and Eustace look like the princess and the poobah. We see the mummy making his way from the jungle to the middle of nowhere, and he goes on a little journey. He hitchhikes in the truck. They get stopped by the army, but he has a legitimate passport, so they let him go. He's also on a plane with the same flight attendant from the little Muriel episode, and he's the one who jumps off the plane because she's so annoying.
Because it is, and it's good for other things too.
Meanwhile, Courage is researching on the computer, and it tells him that they might be direct descendants of this princess and poobah, and they can find out using hypnosis. So Courage hypnotizes them while they're wearing the clothes that the archaeologist brought, and it works. They're reenacting the whole princess and poobah story. It gets right to the point where the cookies are missing, and the mummy breaks through the door. Eustace, as the royal poobah, blames him for it, and Eustace puts an "I did it" sign on his back as proof. But then Courage puts a sign on his back saying, "I really did it." The poobah says that him and the baker are just in cahoots, but then Courage pulls out some money and is like, "Let me get a cookie." And he's like, "Oh yeah," and Courage exposes him to the princess.
It was you all along.
The princess apologizes to the baker for just believing the poobah. She goofed.
I goofed.
She asks him how she can make it up to him. The mummy has an idea. So later that day, Muriel is back to normal and she's making some Mayan cookies. So it turns out the mummy went away when she gave him Eustace's favorite sheet that they were folding earlier in the episode. This gets Eustace mad and he goes to find his tomb to get his sheet back. We can see that the mummy is wrapped in it while Eustace is wrapped in the mummy's old wraps.
Give me back my sheet! I want my sheet! Give me back my sheet!
I support this villain. He got his revenge and he cleared his name, so good for him. Courage is digging in the yard and finds this gem. But it is in a restricted zone. This zone is being watched via satellite. Courage gives the stone to Muriel, but back to the satellite, we hear them talking about someone stealing the stone, and they give them orders to retrieve it, plus anyone wearing it, which is Muriel.
How does it look?
Ugly.
And she turns invisible from this.
Dinner's ready.
Courage calls a doctor and he tells him to remove the stone, but she's still invisible. So he tells him to bring the stone in for some tests. Out of nowhere, agents pop through the windows and kidnap Muriel, leaving only behind her boots. She's sitting there waiting for her interrogation, and they're all arguing because the agents didn't get the stone. One of them thought it was invisible. At the doctor's, Eustace wears the stone so that they can do experiments to try to find a cure. The doctor tells Courage to sniff out Muriel to try to find her, and he goes on a world tour. Meanwhile, Muriel is completely clueless as to why she's there. She thinks that they're after her secret dog recipe.
I don't care how badly you want to win that dog food contest. I'm not talking.
The tests that the doctor does on Eustace include a giant lobster, hitting him with a whale, and then eating a dog food sandwich.
Stupid dog food. Must have gotten the sandwiches mixed up.
And the sandwich actually works. Turns out the Dr. Quack's office is right across the hall from the interrogation room that Muriel is in. Now it's time to rescue Muriel. So Eustace has to wear the stone again, but this time take off his clothes so that they can't see him. He follows a sign right past the interrogation room
Big deal.
and goes into the gold storage room.
Secret gold storage. Works for me.
So now Courage has to go save Muriel. The guards recognize him and start chasing him, but Courage breaks through the window of the room and tosses dog food on her, which cures her.
Courage, how lovely that you dropped by.
Courage hides behind her apron like a little kid, and the guards don't notice her. And now that Muriel isn't invisible, they're like, okay, you can go. We don't need you. They can now go back to making statues out of gold. Eustace gets melted into a gold statue that is revealed at the dog food contest, which Muriel wins. Her secret ingredient, a dash of vinegar.
Mama, if you could see me now.
Muriel is trying to clean up, but her vacuum sucks. So she tries to get Eustace to get her a new one. Just then there's a knock at the door, and it's this guy,
I have got the answer to your workday woe.
Dr. Gerbil, and he just comes in with the vacuum. He asks a bunch of questions like, are you far from the police? Are you alone out here? And since they are, the vacuum is perfect for them. Courage hears some yelling, and it's coming from the vacuum. Muriel is really excited for this vacuum, but then Dr. Gerbil literally vacuums them up.
You're free now.
Inside of it, there's another person that looks like they've been in there for a minute. Dr. Gerbil leaves, but Courage hitches a ride in his car to his home, which is just a hole in the ground. Dr. Gerbil takes him to this room in his house, and he dumps out Muriel and Eustace, and they are now mini after being in the vacuum. Dr. Gerbil takes the lady behind the curtain, and when they come out, she just has suction cups for hands and feet. He then takes Muriel and Eustace behind the curtain, and we see the suction lady escape. She runs into Courage outside. She tells him that he's doing horrible things to them. He goes through a door, ends up in this tunnel ride, which is kind of like the Small World ride. Meanwhile, Dr. Gerbil is feeding them things that make them fat, washing them with things that make them grow fruit baskets for hair, rubbing deodorant and lipsticks that cause their armpits and lips to blow up and then pop. He's just experimenting on these people. Courage finds a room, and he goes into this giant hairspray bottle and then sprays himself into the room since he can't get in. Dr. Gerbil puts them back into the hamster cage and leaves, and Courage uses the vacuum to suck them back up, but Dr. Gerbil finds them, and then it gets serious. The only thing that plays is this music while he's getting chased. They reach a waterfall. Courage uses the vacuum to kind of suction the air to be able to get to the edge, while Dr. Gerbil can't do anything except fall off the waterfall. But he's fine, because imagine them showing just his mangled corpse at the bottom of that waterfall. At home, Courage reverses the vacuum, and out comes Muriel and Eustace, regular size. Muriel thanks him for saving them. She knows at this point, so why do you act like this? Eustace goes back to eating his gross soup and finds the lit lady inside of it. It's so gross.
You don't touch my eyelids. It's mine. All mine.
I like the end song though, it just adds so much to this. Although it's not supposed to be super dark and looming, it still is. I think it just works really well with what's happening on screen. Courage brings in the mail, and one of the letters is about a timeshare, and all they have to do is take a trip.
Oh, we have to do is take a little trip.
But look at Courage in this little suit. A computer voice wakes him up, and the hologram explains what the mission is.
And Godspeed!
Who knows what's going on? The computer does, and it tells them that the sun is going out, and their mission is to save the sun. And if they don't, everyone's doomed. They also have exactly 2 hours and 39 minutes to do this. Eustace doesn't care, and Muriel can only clean. That's all she knows how to do, apparently. While in the bathroom, Eustace accidentally flushes his hat, and when he sees it out the window, he sees this thing float by. This is a space worm. It sneaks onto the ship and enters Muriel.
Oh, Eustace.
Disgusting. They were unable to do anything in regard to the mission, so they just have dinner. But at this point, the space worm enters Muriel's brain and she goes fucking insane.
Hey, what'd you do that for?
She does assault Eustace though, which is fine. She takes a nap and the worm literally breaks her brain, so she goes on a rampage and starts destroying everything. The computer is about to tell Courage what to do, and it goes out because Muriel messed up the wiring.
What do I do? What do I do?
The space worm, through Muriel, tells him that his name is Mustafa Al-Bacterius.
I've come a great distance to sabotage your mission.
And he's there to sabotage his mission because his people like it dark, and also so the human race can go extinct. Courage turns on the gravity, which causes Muriel's head to get stuck in the toilet. When they flush, the suction pulls out Mustafa from her brain. They have a minute left, and Courage sees this briefcase and he's like, whatever, I'll just do it. So the spaceship lands on the sun. Courage gets out and finds a subway entrance. Goes all the way down. Meanwhile, Muriel is like struggling to stand on this hot surface. She's acting like she's just on a beach. Courage goes all the way to the center of the sun, opens the briefcase, and it's a light bulb. He unplugs the old light bulb, plugs in the new one, and the mission is complete. Yes! Too bad for them, the spaceship melted. But Eustace, who flushed himself so that he can get his hat, flies by on a meteorite and saves them.
Hurry to fix the sun. Good dog.
Now that they completed the mission, they get their timeshare, and their timeshare is on Mars. But Eustace starts acting really weird, and then they find out that Mustafa is inside of his brain now.
Wiki! I have not yet begun to fight.
Little villains like this creep me out because they're just so gross and nasty, and I hate them. Courage finds Dailong outside working on this magnet machine. He's experimenting, and he tells Courage that he can make him different, so he drops some green drops on him. He shapeshifts until he becomes a little fly. The magnet thing that Dailong was working on pulls a satellite from space. This notifies the army.
Oh, snap. General, satellite coming down. What? Another one?
Courage goes back in the house, but he's a fly, so no one acknowledges him as anything other than the fly. Eustace tries to swat him, and Courage tries everything to get Muriel's attention, to let her know that he's a fly. The army show up, and they calculate that the satellite's gonna crash right onto their farm. The general is like, well, we can't warn them because then they'll know about the satellites, and who's gonna miss them either way? The only way you can stop it is if you're tiny, you can fly, and you can get up in the satellite and change its course. Thankfully, Courage can do all of that. He flies into the satellite and pushes a bunch of random buttons that stop the satellite right in its course, and it instead falls onto the ice cream truck that the army was disguising themselves in. Who's gonna miss them? Muriel and Eustace come out, and Muriel finally recognizes Courage.
Courage, is that you?
Dylon comes back with his perfected formula and drops it on the general and the lieutenant, turning them into buffalo. The satellite keeps moving underground and eventually makes a U-turn back up to the surface and takes Eustace with it. That night, Muriel watches Eustace go round and round on the satellite while Courage eats some sugar cubes.
Courage, do you think there's a way to get Eustace back down to Earth anytime soon?
I don't think so, you fool.
Katz is back, and this time he's making something for the sweet stuff contest. This is mutant jam that he will use to finally beat Muriel. Heart and Courage are at home making caramel apples.
Courage, you did a beautiful job with the apples.
He is so cute and helpful. Eustace is at the beach by himself and he's making a sandcastle. Courage eats the rest of the caramel. When there's a knock at the door and it's the mutant jam. Courage tries to fight it, but he just goes right through it. And it captures Muriel in its gross, disgusting jam. It also captures Courage and kidnaps them both. Meanwhile, Eustace gets back home, really upset about his terrible beach day, and only sees the footprints the jam left behind. Since there's no dinner, he licks these footprints and he follows them through a cow farm. Any terrain, it doesn't matter, he's there eating them up. The jam takes him to Cat's Candy and we see a bunch of second place ribbons because he always loses to Muriel.
Sad, isn't it?
He puts her over this giant taffy maker while Courage is down below trapped in taffy.
Feeling a little strung out?
Eustace finds his way to Cat's Candy after following the jam footprints and sees that the mutant jam has Muriel's boot. Courage just eats through his taffy handcuffs like bubblegum. And uses it to blow a bubble to rise to where Katz is and falls on him. They fight a little and decide to have a staring contest, and I found this so funny because I do this with my cat too. Cats will just stare at you forever. In the store, Eustace pulls out his mask and scares the jam. He finds Courage and Muriel.
Stupid dog! I'm hungry!
But because it distracts Courage, he loses the staring contest, and Katz turns him into a little bean. Eustace keeps yelling at Muriel and she tells him to shut the fuck up and to save her. He literally swings on the taffy hooks to try to save her. Kat sees this and tries to stop them. He drops the middle hook, but Eustace isn't on it anymore, so this makes him have to go onto the hooks himself and try to get them that way. When he's in the middle hook, Courage sees him and pulls the lever to drop him into the taffy maker. Katz is still asking Muriel for her secret ingredient, and it's just vinegar. It's always vinegar. At the contest, Muriel gets first place, Katz is taffy, and still gets second place, even after knowing the ingredient, because he's a loser.
For the 43rd year in a row!
Sad, isn't it?
Eustace is waiting for the lottery results. His ticket is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a knock at the door and it's lick quack.
Bonjour. I am Le Quack.
He is now a TV repairman. They tell him that they're good, their TV's fine, so he leaves and then their TV goes out. So now they need a repair guy. Courage sniffs around and sees the antenna on the floor. He tries to warn Eustace, but Eustace just thinks that he broke the TV.
And stay out!
LeQuack finishes repairing the TV and leaves. When Eustace goes to watch TV, it's just LeQuack hypnotizing them into thinking that duck is good and dog is bad. Eustace goes outside to play with Courage.
I am going to play fetch with the dog.
Outside, Eustace abuses poor Courage, even more now that he has superhuman strength.
Good puppy.
Muriel is a clown,
Well, howdy, howdy,
and Eustace is just spewing duck propaganda.
Must be slick, must be slippery.
Courage comes back and tries to turn off the TV, but it doesn't work, so he drags it outside and hits a home run with it. But it doesn't matter because Muriel and Eustace get in the truck and they drive to the lottery building where all the winnings are at, and Muriel distracts the guard with her clown abilities while Eustace sneaks through the sewers. Courage hides out in one of the money bags and tries to pull the alarm, but the guard was knocked out, so no one comes. Muriel and Eustace make off with the money, and Courage, being in the money bags, starts dropping bills to leave a trail. LeQuack has prepared a celebration and his guests arrive just in time. He opens the case but only finds a single dollar and Courage. He chokes him out and Courage pokes his eyes and they start to fight with TVs. Muriel and Eustace are just eating the dinner while they fight it out, and then the cops come and arrest LeQuack. I absolutely love the handcuffs in cartoons because what? At home, they have been unhypnotized. They are watching TV to see the lottery results, and the winning numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Eustace won. Unfortunately, because of the robbery, only 17 cents are left. Eustace throws out the TV in anger, and it turns on outside, and we see the jail burnt to the ground, and LeQuack saying that he will return.
They have not heard the last of Le Quack.
Courage is writing some spooky stories based on his real life experiences on the computer, and the computer is mean to him.
What are these? Your memoirs? They're about as exciting as a sack of toenail clippings.
Fuck you. The computer says that he would be able to do so much more because he wouldn't have any fear in him. So Courage turns him off. That night, Courage is scared because of a thunderstorm outside, and he sleeps in between them like a little kid. A lightning bolt hits the house and brings the computer to life. Eustace goes downstairs to close the door, and the computer corners him and uploads himself into Eustace. He hates this fragile ass body, so he opts to use Muriel as a body instead because she's a little thick. And then Muriel disappears into the night. The next day, Muriel is on the news because she's about to shoot herself out of a cannon. Courage tries to stop her, but can't, and just has to jump in with her. They get shot into space, and that one alien with the rocket hits them back down into Earth. Courage gets home like this. only to see the next thing that she's about to do, which is wait for an earthquake on the San Andreas Fault. We also see the news anchor in person for the first time in color.
Ready to dive in when the ground starts rocking and rolling.
Weird, because we usually just see him on TV, which is black and white. Courage runs to her just in time for an earthquake, and he tries to save himself with this little helicopter thing, but it doesn't work, so he just free falls with her. Hollyweird gets sucked into the ground and a new mountain forms. Muriel gets taken by a plane, and Courage gets pushed off the mountain by a goat. And he gets home like this. And then sees that she's going to now be skiing off of the Empire State Building into a sewer, no less. He finds her, and the computer makes a comment about Courage always being scared but still always risking his life to save her. She jumps off and Courage goes after her, but he secures himself with a bungee. But this lady dusting a rug changes the direction of the fall, so Muriel goes off the slope and crashes into a factory. Courage then follows because he falls straight into the sewer, gets bungeed all the way there too. Courage finds her trapped in this power plant and tries to save her, but gets electrocuted, and he gets really messed up this time.
How did it feel?
Computer Muriel finds him really messed up and says that he's done being a human and takes him home.
Who's that?
He puts the computer back into place and downloads himself out of Muriel. Courage is showing Muriel his memoirs, and she tells him that they're great.
Ah, Courage, your memoirs are extraordinary.
But he can't figure out an ending, so the computer does it for him.
Happily ever after. You're such a good writer.
How stupid!
Some big execs are complaining that their money piles are too tiny and they need to find new subjects with A, B, XYZ blood. The doctor gets a phone call and they're asking him about this blood type and who has the blood, but the doctor's like, I can't tell you my patient's medical records. It would be super unethical. But they offer him a bunch of money and he gives it all away.
I do have one patient with that blood type.
Muriel is one of those patients. At the farm, we see this chicken clucking by, and a businessman comes through, offering her a bunch of money to do some testing. She says no, and he eerily leaves. She gets a phone call saying that they need her at the hospital to check her spleen. She says okay, and an army guy comes to get her.
Still, it pays to be on the safe side. I wouldn't want the spleen to get tangled.
Courage calls a doctor and tries to get some info on Muriel, but he refuses unless he gives them a bunch of money.
Muriel's in trouble.
So Courage goes into the doctor's office, Dr. Vindaloo MD Quack, and steals Muriel's file. He takes a little peek and screams. He runs back and gives it to Eustace, and he reads it, and it says that she is the property of Growth Industries. Eustace is pissed, but not because they took her, but because they didn't give him money for her. They drive to Growth Industries and agree to buy none other than his mom. She got a new job here and she's the big wig. She denies any of these allegations and takes them on a little tour and gives them complimentary wigs. Courage is not satisfied, so he sneaks back into the factory and then sees this guy being hung like cattle along with other people. Courage screams, and Muriel hears him.
Is that you? Courage, over here!
So they both scream. The people start moving through the factory to get shaved, and one of the guards spots Courage and starts chasing him. Courage uses a blow dryer to set off the sprinklers because he saw that the water makes the hair grow even faster, even if it's not attached to them. So all this hair that's been shaved off and the ones on their body begin to grow like crazy. Ma Bags calls, that sounds so dumb. The mom calls Courage a stupid dog, which makes me so sad because she was one of the few that were so nice to Courage.
You stupid dog!
Courage beats the guards with this car thing he found. And he finds his way to Muriel, who's buried under all this hair. Miss Ma chases Courage, but this time tries a new tactic, which is just being nice to Courage to get him to come. Thankfully, he doesn't fall for this. But she's using his trust for her against him, and I hate it. Courage hides in her hair and then rips it off, because remember, she's bald.
My hair is gone. I'm ugly. Ugly!
The fire department ends up saving Courage and Muriel, and we see Miss Ma in the car with the executives crying. Courage and Muriel go home, and Courage plucks out all the hairs from Muriel's body, and then Eustace comes in covered in hair, but with money because he got paid this time.
What happened to you?
Money! Oh!
Eustace is watching this TV show about a solid gold hat that looks just like his. The only person who's ever seen it made a map, but no one has ever seen the man or the map. This man was.
This man.
That's me brother. That's Horse.
Eustace knows that his brother left him a map, the map.
I'm getting that gold hat.
But he doesn't want to tell Muriel or Courage, and he just tells them that they're going on vacation.
You're going on vacation.
Oh, how lovely.
Eustace finds the temple where the hat is hidden and a riddle outside of it.
Whomever steps inside this place must vanity and greed erase, for if you're vain, well, that's no good.
It's literally about Eustace, but he doesn't care because he just wants the money. So they go in. They find the gold hat and a giant sign that says, "Do not touch."
I'd sure look good wearing that hat.
He grabs it anyway, and the cave starts to collapse. They have to escape through the tunnels, which has all these booby traps. Once they finally find the exit, they bump into these people. And they get locked up. They tell them that they have 1 minute to tell them where the hat is, or one of them is going to be sacrificed. And Eustace just keeps calling them hippies. They come back, still no hat, so they choose Muriel to be the sacrifice.
Eustace! Fakers, hippie fakers.
Eustace just thinks that they're bluffing, but Courage is taking this threat very seriously, so he unscrews his head to get out of the chains. Courage works out, gets buffed to escape this cell. But when he does, there's no one even sitting out there. So he just takes off the muscles. Courage sees Muriel tied to a pole and this giant statue coming to life. So he orders some gifts on his credit card and it gets delivered instantly.
Muriel, I'll save you!
He gives one of these to the statue and it's a giant fur coat. And the statue is feeling himself. And then all the other members are like, I would like one too. So he gives them all fur coats.
Wonderful quality. Does it come in, Mo?
The statue starts to crumble, as does the entire village, because it doesn't like their vanity. And they literally don't care. They want the coats.
We were warned that vanity would be our undoing. But who cares? Don't I look gorgeous?
Muriel and Courage watch the rest of it crumble and hope that Eustace somehow made it out okay. He actually does, and he reveals that the gold hat was inside of his hat, and he puts it on and immediately turns to stone and crumbles.
Stupid hat!
It's laundry day and they're watching TV, and this commercial comes up about a free ride for the first 3 passengers.
Join me on a seafaring adventure. I promise never a dull moment, and there's always a catch.
They will never give up a free trip. On the boat, Eustace drinks this random drink and knocks out. Once they're on sea, this guy takes off all of his prosthetics and reveals himself to be an evil pirate. They're his crew now, and if they don't want to be his crew, they can be his anchor. Eustace is the engineer, Muriel is the cook, and Courage is his first mate. Muriel is having a blast because she thinks they're just LARPing, and she asks him what they're fishing for, and he tells them the big catch. Courage sees a waterfall and tries to warn everyone, but no one listens. And they fall down the waterfall and now into the evil river. They're here to catch Carmen. They start fishing and Courage feels a tug on the line. The captain makes everyone hold on to the line and he steers, but Eustace lets go and they fall in. Carmen is in fact in the water. Courage drags them back to the boat. Carmen plays with the boat like a cat with a dead bird. And the boat is messed up, so they have to come up with a new plan. The captain uses Muriel as bait. Eustace stands up for her, but only because he wants his cut too. So they tie up Courage so he can't interfere. They put a radio that plays opera, and once Carmen gets close enough, Muriel is to grab her with these serpent tongs. Once in the water, Muriel does try to grab her, but she can't, and there's a ruckus, and then the cage comes back empty. Seeing this, Courage dives in for Muriel. And follows the music into a cave. The captain also goes after them, and on the boat, Eustace is being stalked by an unknown figure.
Stay back!
In the cave, Carmen is performing for Muriel, and she's really into it. The captain tries to sneak up on Carmen, but Courage stops him. Carmen's singing causes these rocks to fall and trap the captain. And next we see Carmen dragging the boat to safety while the captain is tied upside down. Muriel and Courage are chilling on the deck wondering where Eustace is, but he was kidnapped by monkeys.
Wherever he is.
Stupid, dumb monkeys.
That's fine. Courage and Muriel are doing some gardening, and Courage has to dig up this dead plant to plant a new one.
Do your stuff.
Courage just keeps digging because he loves digging, and eventually he gets to this. And then a bunch of archaeologists immediately start digging up more, and they find a bunch of bones, revealing a dinosaur fossil. Courage takes his bone to the computer for scanning, and the computer tells him that this belonged to an ancient kangaroo-like creature. They're all extinct, but the bones are very valuable, which Eustace is auctioning off to the archaeologists. He then falls off the roof with all the bones, and he gets robbed. At the doctor's, he tells him that he's going to be needing a disc transplant, and this is what the bone looks like. Where will they ever find one that looks exactly like it?
That'll do.
Thankfully, Courage saved his bone. The doctor performs the transplant surgery.
It requires great care, keen awareness, and a practiced, steady hand.
He gets a new disc. It's so funny that Courage and Muriel are behind this glass watching the surgery, wearing masks and gloves, and the doctor performing the surgery has nothing on. Then Eustace is tossing and turning because his back really hurts, and he goes to the bathroom, and Courage sees him transform into a monster.
Is everything okay, Courage?
The Eustace monster grows and snatches Muriel out of the bed. And Courage sees that he became the kangaroo that he was researching earlier, the giant kangaroos. The Eustace kangaroo hops throughout the city with Muriel.
What do I do? What do I do?
Courage can't do anything but research to see how he can defeat this kangaroo. And the only thing that can defeat him is another kangaroo. He goes back to the doctor, and the doctor does the surgery on poor Courage, and he's so scared.
But I've never done the procedure on a dog. There's no telling what could happen. No telling at all.
Meanwhile, Eustace is destroying every wonder in the world. Eventually, he ends up in Paris, and Courage meets him there for their little squabble.
Put Muriel down!
Maitedly!
Oh my!
And we see LeQuack there.
American swine.
They do a painting contest, and then Courage starts slingshotting him a bunch of French desserts, causing him to become fat. He gets so big that he falls into the water that French people love to shit in. Yeah, I remember that story. Courage goes back to the doctor to remove the bone, and he still hops like a little kangaroo. It's so cute.
No side effects at all.
Meanwhile, Eustace gets a medal for appreciating French pastries.
To the genius monster kangaroo.
Okay, free food.
Okay. Courage is looking through the telescope. And he sees a meteor bouncing all throughout space. And we get a little cameo from that alien with the racket. It crash lands onto Earth. He tries to tell Muriel. But there's a knock at the door, and it's this guy. Muriel lets him use the phone and gets him a cup of tea. Courage investigates, and this guy does not know how to use the phone. And when he gets his tea, he just spills it on himself. He goes through a checklist or a mission. He has everything: hostility, greed, cynicism, but not kindness. It catches Courage staring at him, and he does this.
Staring road, yes? You go, yes?
I hate it so much. He puts the same tentacle up Eustace's nose to try to find kindness. He can't find any. So then Muriel comes in with some cake. So then he does it to Muriel, and he finds it. So he starts extracting it from her, and it's so nasty. He took all of her kindness that she starts acting like Eustace and kicks him out.
And don't let me catch you around here again!
Which is fine until she's also mean to Courage.
Muriel! Muriel!
So now Eustace and Courage are both doing everything in the house for her. Courage spots the alien waiting at the alien bus stop. And his spaceship comes down, and he goes in with the vial of kindness. He presents the vial to the giant brain in his spaceship, and now that it has kindness, it can conquer the world because it will know exactly how not to be. Outside, Courage is trying to get in, and he sees Mean Muriel coming his way, so he sneaks through, the battery port.
Now you got me all stupid out of breath.
Muriel follows. Courage gets the vial from the brain.
Muriel, I'll save you!
You go, yes?
And when the alien tries to kill Courage, he splashes some kindness on him and complete 180.
Oh, how rude of me.
He lets him go, and Courage kindly gives him this bomb before he leaves so they can blow up.
Why, thank you. Yes?
Courage then puts Muriel's kindness back into her, and things are back to normal.
Where are we? Yes!
At home, Eustace is annoyed that Muriel is being nice to Courage again, and she says that thanks to him, they don't have to worry about any more aliens. But then there's a dozen more of those guys inside their house.
Control, full, yes?
Muriel is reading Courage a book. Courage falls asleep to it and has a dream about the book. In his dream, he's this little cowboy with the stallion. And he's greeted by these three guys who we've seen before. One of them is the mayor, the other's a banker, and the other's the butcher. Oh, sorry, not a banker. He's a barber. Why did I think he was a banker? The mayor names Courage sheriff of this town.
I hereby name you Sheriff of Dusty Little Town.
And it seems shady because they're all like snickering about it. Courage goes to the saloon where the patrons say that he's a goner. A rat buys him a root beer, and then this lady who looks just like Muriel prepares it for him. The rat tells him that all the other sheriffs disappeared because of the whip, and this scares everyone into leaving the saloon. The bartender tells him the story about the whip. She tells him that he's long gone because his partners betrayed him and he died. She shows him a pic of the whip, and it's just used to
get me loot from those what swindled me, and ain't no lawman gonna stop me.
On the back of the picture, it says that he will be back in exactly 1 year to get his money. And we see in the cemetery far, far away that that is exactly what's happening. They're having a hoot and a half in the saloon when they hear a whip. They go outside and they see the butcher with a W whipped into his body. He tells them to leave town, and they hear more whips, and then they find this guy also whipped. They hear more whips coming from the mayor's office, and through the window they see him with the whip.
It was the barber and the butcher. It was their idea.
Courage wants to leave, but the barmaid tells him that he needs to save the mayor. The mayor admits that it was him who set him up. He has no idea where the money is. He lies though, he knows where the money is. He tells him it's behind this portrait of Minnie, the barmaid, played by Muriel. And then the whip is like, that's my girlfriend. Why do you have a picture of her? And Minnie tells Courage, like, damn, you wink at a guy one time and he won't leave you alone. The whip opens a safe and gets the money, and then spots Muriel outside with Courage, and now thinks that Courage is stealing his girl. He whips Courage and kidnaps Minnie. Courage distracts him with some gifts.
It's not me birthday!
And takes Minnie back, and then uses a jet to drop a piano on him. The whole town cheers for Courage, and the dream sequence ends. Muriel ends the story with a happy ending, but then we pan over to Eustace and he's dressed up like the whip. Ew.
Well, here we go again, partner.
We're driving and they hit this giant bug. Muriel invites him to dinner, obviously. At dinner, he tells him that he's the Jeeves Weevil, which is the butler beetle.
We live to serve.
Muriel is gassed because she never gets any special treatment. He serves Eustace the biggest slice of pie because he's the hardest working in the family, even though he doesn't do anything. Muriel offers him some watermelon and he just sucks the entire thing up. It's so gross. Muriel washes up and the beetle gives Eustace a back massage, and then Courage is watching this and he sees him start to suck. How do I say this? He sees him sucking Eustace's nutrients through his disgusting fly mouth. I don't know how to make it sound better. And this is what it looks like after. Eustace goes upstairs for a nap and the beetle follows. Ew. It draws Muriel a bath, and then Muriel offers him a bed for the night. And Courage peeks into the hallway and sees it doing this. At night, Courage hears the same noises and then sees him in the bedroom.
Let's talk in the morning.
Oh no!
He hides under the covers and hears the beetle slurping someone else up. We don't know who it is until the next day in the morning when we see Eustace looking like this. He goes outside for some fresh air but just blows in the wind, and Courage tries to save him but he just turns into dust. When he goes back inside, the beetle is now sucking Muriel. And he calls an exterminator. He does his little shape-shifting, but the exterminator thinks that he's the bug and just gasses him. The bug moves into the living room and is taking pictures of Muriel, and this is when Courage just hits his breaking point. He smacks the camera out of his hand and tells him to leave. The beetle says that they should settle this like gentlemen by having a contest, and the contest is who can ingest the foulest food. First up is boiled broccoli, which I like. I used to eat it all the time as a kid. I used to pretend they were trees like in The Land Before Time. The next one is rancid broccoli. The next plate is even more rancid broccoli that it also eats up. But he's still hungry, so he starts eating Muriel. She is almost skin and bones too, so Courage takes off his little mouth thing, puts it on the beetle himself, and then he just literally eats himself until he becomes this little mini version.
Stupid dog!
That night, Courage cooks Muriel up some food so that she can get back to her healthy weight, but Eustace is not so lucky. They had to plant him and wait for him to grow. Right now, he's just this flower.
I'm hungry. Where's that pie-serving weevil? Hungry!
Muriel is folding clothes and Eustace ruins her pile to get the shirt at the bottom, but when he puts it on, he folds himself because, quote, Muriel folded his shirt too tight. She shines his shoes for him, and when he puts them on, they literally blow up.
Muriel! What are you trying to do to me?
Look at his feet, they look like Courage's. She then steams his hat, and there are chickens under it when he puts it on that peck his head. At dinner, he refuses to eat her food because he thinks that she's hurting him on purpose, and he goes to call his mom, and this chandelier falls from the sky onto him.
Gotta go now.
They don't even own one. They start fighting, but then there's a knock at the door and it's his mom. She has a mail-in diploma and she's here to fix his marriage. But she's just being shady and she tries to get Eustace to end the marriage and make sure that Eustace keeps the house. Muriel pours him some tea and it splashes onto him.
Set things like this.
His mom tries to cut a deal with her too. When Muriel leaves, we see a ghost. Muriel wants someone else to help, so Courage goes online and becomes a licensed therapist.
You are now a fully licensed therapist. Word of advice, just keep nodding and don't say anything.
In the kitchen, the ghost scares his mom and she starts to scream, but then she tells her to shut the fuck up because they're after the same thing.
I'm getting revenge.
Apparently one of Muriel's great aunts ruined her marriage, the ghost marriage. Meanwhile, Courage takes them both upstairs for some marriage counseling. And look at his license. Downstairs, his mom and the ghost are plotting their next scheme. When Eustace agrees to give Muriel a second chance, the ghost senses this, so they go upstairs to let their plan unfold. This time they put lobsters in his pants. But Courage distracts the mom with these ink spots and she just goes full on therapy session. While in therapy, she reveals that it was her aunt that ruined the ghost's marriage. So she gets chased out of the house with lobsters.
Here's my bill.
Eustace still continues to complain about everything, and Muriel just sits there smiling. Like, this woman is a victim, we need to save her. Muriel is reading a prayer for the harvest moon to bring them a good harvest. Courage is ringing the bell. Eustace tells her not to waste her breath and stomps on the plant.
Rotten soil! Let's eat.
Later, Muriel is doing the dishes and she hears a voice telling her to get out.
Get out.
I must be hearing things.
And the kitchen goes crazy. Eustace is upstairs taking a bath and hears the same voice.
What? Who said that? Ariel!
Courage, who's in the truck eating the cushion, hears this and runs inside. He can't get inside because everything is locked, so he crashes the truck into the house. He sees the food attacking Muriel in the kitchen, so he eats everything up, but then the tub comes crashing down all the way to the basement with Eustace, taking Muriel and Courage down with it. Downstairs, there's a giant head and a leaky pipe. The giant head tells him to get out. He is the spirit of the harvest moon, and this is what happens during the harvest moon.
On this night of the harvest moon, when all that grows from the soil is celebrated and offerings are made.
Unfortunately for them, they have nothing to offer. Eustace tells them that it's because of the bad soil, but the spirit says no, it's because you do not respect your land. The spirit takes pity on Muriel's begging and tells them that they can stay if they grow something by midnight, which is 10 minutes away.
You either grow or go.
They start to bicker, so Courage has to take it upon himself to try to grow the flower from the beginning of the episode. He puts a heat lamp on it, plays music, gives it an IV, but this plant is not growing. He remembers the leaky pipe, so he digs it out and tries to take it to the basement, but it's midnight. The doors are locked, and inside, the basement is heating up and everything is melting. Courage digs his way into the basement, but finds that the leaky pipe has turned into dust and melted, so he uses Eustace's sweat to water this plant, and it actually works. The doors open and the basement starts to cool down. Eustace is happy that his plant grew, and the spirit congratulates him and goes away.
You have grown more than a plant. Happy planting.
What did he mean by that?
The next day, Eustace is plotting on how much money he can make from growing these plants, even though he just grew one.
Green, like money. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4. Happy birthday!
Our crew is sleeping when they hear a noise coming outside, and it's a whale. It's a whale going through the sand as if it was water. It crashes into the house and destroys it. Eustace goes outside and is like, damn, those neighbor kids.
Must have been those darn neighborhood kids again.
The whale appears again and says, "Icket Bag," Eustace's dad.
I don't see any resemblance.
But they tell him that he already died, but the whale doesn't believe him. He wants his accordion back that his dad stole from him. Unfortunately, it's at his mom's house, and Eustace is not interested in getting it back for him. So the whale goes inside the house and destroys everything. They all get cornered in an attic, and Muriel and Eustace are swallowed up by this whale. Courage tries to chase him throughout the sand, but he can't keep up, so he goes to Eustace's mom's house. She tells him that that whale was Ickett's arch nemesis, so she has to go catch him because he's worth a lot of money too. She shows him the boat that Ickett traveled in, and unfortunately Courage has to row it through the sand. They finally find the whale, and Courage tries to play the accordion to get its attention, but Eustace's mom takes it away and says that she's not giving him this damn accordion. She's capturing it for the money. Courage knocks her ass off the boat. And he steals the accordion and he makes his way to the whale. He tosses it to him, so then the whale shoots out Eustace and Muriel through his blowhole. His mom comes through and catches him with a net. Too bad for her that Courage snipped a hole in the net.
Stupid dog.
He swallows her whole, and Muriel is very okay with that.
But the whale got me ma.
I'm glad that all worked out.
Now, what would a whale want with an accordion, you might ask? Obviously to perform with his group, the Sand Whalers. And he kills it.
Uh-oh.
This is the season finale, and it's a two-parter. It has a full 30-minute slot, much more time to create an in-depth story. It starts in this tower where this guy is shooting out cannons to a nearby town. It's interjected with a story that happened right before this, which is
Dr. Jalost, the greatest unhappy scientist who ever lived.
Going to the mayor with these cannons, telling him that, yeah, they can have them for $33.33 billion. He says if they don't give him the money, he's just going to use the town as his experiment. He gets laughed out of the office.
Big deal. They're already unhappy. We just raised the taxes.
So he decides he's just gonna do it, and he starts shooting these cannons outside of this tower into the town, causing every person that gets hit with them, turning them into these very unhappy people. The characters, by the way, are people that we have seen before in the show, so that was fun. The mayor and his buds see this and realize they have to pay up, so they give him the money. At the farmhouse, Muriel is making happy plums and Courage is helping.
Courage, my secret recipe for happy plums will make anything happy.
Eustace is bitching about the paper not being delivered that morning, and Courage can't figure out how to distribute the whipped cream evenly among these happy plums, so he just eats all of them.
Did you eat all of our happy plums?
There's a breaking story about a tower attacking the city of nowhere, but Eustace doesn't care, so he goes into town to try to get his newspaper. At the tower, Dr. Zalos is watching this show, which has the creator in it. He's surrounded by his billions, but still isn't happy. So he tries to get his accomplice Rat to give him a hug, but it doesn't work. So since he's still unhappy, everyone else has to be unhappy too. The mayor calls in and he asks him when he's gonna start making people happy again, and he's like, maybe tomorrow if I feel like it. Eustace damn near crashes into the tower and starts honking at it. He goes around. Dr. Jalo and Rat see him go to the farmhouse, and they realize that they didn't get all the townspeople. At home, Eustace tells her some kids parked a Jeep in the middle of the street.
Some stupid kids parked their Jeep right in the middle of the road.
The house shakes as the tower barrels towards them, shooting cannons. One gets Muriel and she becomes very unhappy. One of which hits Eustace, but he's unchanged because he's the worst already.
Muriel! This is no time for a nap!
They shoot Eustace again and it still doesn't do anything. And then they target Courage, who's able to trick the cannons into not hitting him. He goes into the kitchen and hides Muriel in a drawer and himself into the kitchen pipe. Dr. Jalo thinks that he got them. He has to have got them. So he leaves, and Courage comes out and sees Muriel really unhappy, so he tries to cheer her up with these silly little lips. Doesn't work. He tries to feed her these happy plums. She won't even open her mouth to eat them. Courage meditates and imagines himself going into the tower and finding the antidote, and he even imagines the little celebration that comes with it.
Oh, thank you, Courage.
He goes to Eustace and tells him his plan. But he mimes it out, so he becomes an eye, a bee, leaf, eye, can, a reed, a plate, and this. So you put it together, it's I believe I can read Plato, or I believe I can read China toe. I think what he's trying to say is I believe I can reach the tower. Eustace says, oh, you have a plan. Okay, keep me out of it. But it doesn't work like that. Eustace poses as the pizza delivery guy, and Rat falls for it and gives him a 20. Eustace is like, oh my god, the dog was right. That's the easiest 20 I've ever made.
Whoopee! That stupid dog was right. That's the easiest $20 I've ever made.
So it's just so funny that he acknowledges that Courage came up with the plan and he was right. Anyway, Courage is in the pizza box and Rat goes to tell Dr. Jalo his pizza's here, but he's like, I didn't order anything.
What pizza? I didn't order any pizza. Get away from me!
Courage makes his way upstairs and sees the cannons being made, but Rat spots him. Courage takes one cannonball out of a pile and causes them all to fall. And one of the cannons hits Rat and it turns him into this meaner, stronger, bigger version of himself. Which I don't understand why that didn't work for Eustace. He dives straight for Courage, and then Courage has a memory of Muriel talking about her happy plums, so he pulls them out of his little pocket and feeds them to Rat.
Happy plums will make anything happy.
This turns him into a little tiny baby. Courage makes it all the way to the top of the tower, but Dr. Jalo immediately snatches him up. He ties him up and tells Courage that he will turn his grandmother back to normal if he can win this game. The game is Hangman. It's a 4-letter word, and Courage wastes almost all of his guesses on consonants.
L-C-T-R-K!
Oh, sorry.
So Dr. Jalo offers to let him buy a vowel for $5. He buys A, there's no A, so he buys an O, and turns out there's 2 O's. Dr. Jalo charges him for the 2 O's, so when he gives him the 20, he's like, no, you're getting 5 back, and Courage is like, no.
$105. 2 O's, $10. The vowels cost you $15.
Courage is like, whatever, fine, give me my change. And then he's like, are you sure you really need it? And he's like, yes, give me my change back. So he has to give him a 5, and then it resumes. He has one chance, and he just guesses boom. And Dr. Zalas accuses him of cheating, and then has the cannon go off anyway. Courage dodges it and escapes and goes to the top of the tower in the most complicated way ever, that Jalo actually beats him by just using the stairs and chokes him over the boiling pit of potion down below. Courage has another memory of the happy plums, and he takes them out of his pocket to try to force Zalas to eat it, but it just bounces off of his head and falls into the potion. This makes the potion into a happy potion. The cannons that are made from this are now pink. The tower starts shooting these out, making people happy again, but then the tower starts collapsing. Courage escapes with one pink cannonball and Baby Rat and runs back home to make Muriel happy again. He throws a cannon at her. It works, but then Dr. Jalo is right behind them with a black one. He tosses it and it hits Eustace instead and turns him to stone.
Stupid dog!
Muriel and Courage hide under the kitchen table, and then Dr. Zalas comes in, sees the plums, and is like, oh my god, I love plums. Eats some of the happy plums, and then becomes good again. And then Baby Rat comes to him for a hug.
Come here, Rat. Give me a hug.
and they leave together. And that's a wrap for season 2.
This is so embarrassing.
Really wanted to talk about the intro because season 1 and season 2 had villains from season 2, so I really wanted to see which ones were mentioned. I don't know, I think it's fun. So this is the season 1 intro. I also absolutely love the way that they're drawn. They're more realistic and scary. So we have Schwick. We have the ghost from McPherson Phantom, and we have Robot Randy, and then we have the mummied Baker, we have Carmen, we have a banana guy. All of the ones from season 1 were from season 2. Not sure why, because we had a lot of good villains in season 1. And then for season 2, we start off with the wishing tree. Not really a villain, but it is very odd to look at. Next we have the harvest spirit. Next is this brain from the Car Broke Phonius episode. We have the statue from the Forbidden Hat episode, this violin girl from the City episode, and finally Dr. Shallow. I just think they're such cool cards the way they draw them. I absolutely love it. Okay guys, I'm gonna be so honest. This season was a little harder for me to rank because I felt like a lot of the episodes kind of fell in the middle as opposed to the first season where there was more of a clear distinction in quality between some of them. But I've sat on it for a minute, so I think this is my final ranking. So once again, straight off the dome, we're gonna start like always, bottom up. I remember this episode from when I was a kid. It was not fun for me. I remember I actually hated it because I don't like stupid characters. I've never liked stupid characters, even when I was a kid. There's just something insulting about forcing me to watch them. Not sure if this is messed up to say about this character, Basil, because he's clearly unwell. So we go from this idiot that not only has no idea where he is, but also once he switches from mode to mode, the other mode is horrible and mean to Courage. I hate it. I hate it, guys. I hate it so much. So going back and forth from those two personas was horrible, guys. And maybe I would have liked it if the villain wasn't the worst. So sorry, but this is at the bottom of my list. I just found this episode really boring. The concept was an odd one. I mean, it was nice to kind of get a little bit more background on Eustace because we see his dad, which is just him with the beard. We got his mom again. His mom is the worst. It's Eustace times 10, and I hate seeing her. I just thought it was a lot of chasing. It was so much chasing around, and yeah, that's fun sometimes here and there, but when it's the entire episode, and especially on the sandwich, it's a difficult chase. I'm watching Courage row his boat in sand. It's just frustrating. The only reason it's not the bottom is because I giggled when he pushed her off of the boat and when he cut the net. Like, things like that were silly and fun. But other than that, it really didn't have too much to go off of. This one wasn't horrible. I mean, it did have the ridiculous plotline of this hair growth industry kidnapping people and forcing them to be the hair growth equivalent to just cattle raised for slaughter. Once again, we have Eustace's mom who sucks, and it's just chasing throughout this facility. It did have some type of interesting aspect because we do see these people just strung up like cattle, basically just here to grow this hair for people because of a greedy corporation. Courage obviously doing everything he can to rescue Muriel. It works, and then he's able to beat her once again because he somehow takes her wig off. I'm glad at least though in the sand whale that came out after this episode, we didn't see the resolution again. She didn't lose because her wig came off, you know? I just feel like we already did it. We don't need to do it again. Courage had such cute little moments in it, but then after he became the kangaroo thing, it was just little shenanigans back and forth, which are fun to watch. When they take up so much of the episode, it just seems pointless, and then the resolution was what? He ate a bunch of pastries and immediately got big from that, and then he just wins a medal. Like, it was just odd, and I just feel like sometimes these odd episodes, it gets kind of meh watching them because I'm like, okay, there's no actual resolution, just silly goofy things are happening. Again, sometimes they're fun, but when you're watching them back to back to back, it's like, okay, can we come up with a better resolution for this conflict? Because I know they're capable of doing it. We've seen it. We've had great episodes that I thought were amazing, so I know they can do it. I don't know what it is. Maybe they just can't really get out of the situation they came up with. Not horrible. Again, Eustace-centered episodes are never my favorite, and we got to see him just be a complete dick for I don't know what reason, just because he became the kangaroo, because Courage became the kangaroo as well, and he didn't act like that. But really, the cute and funny moments save this. As far as recurring villains go, LeQuack is definitely my least favorite. He is not someone I enjoy seeing. I mean, I like his little cameos, like in the transplant episode. He's more of the mind villain because he hypnotizes you, gives you amnesia to get what he wants. He plays mind tricks. I just think we've seen it already though. Like this episode, he hypnotized him with the TV. He comes in undercover as what TV repairman before it was a doctor. It's kind of the same thing that we've already seen, and at the end he escapes somehow. And this episode again was just a little ridiculous with the clown and duck propaganda. I'm not even really sure what the point of that was. Was it really just to distract the guard? You know, that it gets to the point where it's like, okay, what are we doing here? Courage saves a lot of things for me. I think he's just so cute and fun, and him throwing the money out was hilarious. The ending that he won the lottery, but because of LeQuack, there's only a few cents left. I think that's so funny. And the TV fighting back and forth, I thought that was fun. So I like them in little bits and pieces, but when episodes are just completely just that, like back and forth things, that's what makes it not fun. So I like this because it was in little bits and pieces throughout the episode. But again, LeQuack just doesn't do it for me, guys. But it wasn't the worst episode. I hate Dailung. He is the absolute worst. I hate his character. He's not stupid because clearly he comes up with these inventions. He's just that mean character. There was literally no reason for him to do that to Courage. Absolutely none. He is just trying to be a cute little dog, and I just don't like when people are mean to him for no reason. And this whole episode was just him trying to not be a fly. I mean, it did have the tension of the satellite coming down and almost hitting them. And I think I only put this higher because it doesn't have a traditional villain where it's someone coming after them. It's just a complete dickhead who picks on Courage for no reason, and Courage is still trying to save them because of something else that dickhead did. I found some of his little fly antics funny, which is why I don't hate it. I could definitely rewatch this episode. It's just certain parts would infuriate me, but it's better than an episode that I just find completely unwatchable. We had a recurring character with the general and his little lieutenant. I'm gonna be so honest, I don't really know army stuff, so I have no idea which is which. The general, I'm gonna say, is the bearded guy, and then the lieutenant is just the army looking guy. I don't know them, but we had them, and I just thought it was funny that they didn't care about the satellite falling on this nowhere farmhouse just for them to fall on them. And also, they get turned into buffalo, so I enjoyed seeing that karma. This one was interesting because it started off in a different planet, and we got a little bit more of the villain by themselves, you know, their point of view. But like I said before, I don't really have so much sympathy for these villains because they're so horrible. I mean, guys, this robot was like a full dictator. He was forcing these people to be slaves, and it was hard to watch because these are elderly people and a dog. So seeing them do all this manual labor to the point where Muriel is fainting, like it's honestly messed up. That's why it's higher, because it's a more threatening villain, and they can't defeat it by just fighting it. They have to help him become a better version of himself in order for him to realize that he doesn't need to do all these horrible things. So it adds a little bit more than just hitting him on the head and knocking him out. You know, it's a little bit deeper. Oh my god, and Courage throughout the whole episode was just so precious. I thought it was a super fun concept. I mean, also seeing her get kidnapped by the government is just so funny because of course they would. Of course they would bury something and then just kidnap you for accidentally finding it. We got kind of fun moments with the doctor, Basil, whatever his name was. He actually figured it out, which I was impressed with. I mean, dog food, I have no idea the relation with the dog food and then getting hit by that whale, because the whale kind of worked, but then the dog food was the actual antidote. I have no idea. This is what I mean. Silly, goofy fun. Of course, Eustace completely bails on the plan to help Muriel. just go chase his greed once again. The only thing that's really just dragging it down is the constant chasing and the whole world tour that Courage went on for no reason because it was across the hall. And also the back and forth with Muriel thinking that they're just after her secret formula and just being like, no, I'm not giving you anything. And then back to the doctor with Eustace trying to figure out the antidote. Like, it's a constant back and forth that after like the second or third time really feels like they're just trying to kill runtime. And I think for a show like Courage, they should not be doing that because they have so much to show. We have another return of Eustace's mom. She is a nightmare, but this time I thought it was a little funnier because she wasn't just straight up villainy, it was more secret villainy. She is such a bum. She went there with the sole intention of trying to get her son to divorce this wife that she clearly doesn't like, and the feeling is mutual, to get the house because she lives in a trailer park. And then when she sees that maybe her son is the problem, she tries to team up with Muriel, and then when she realizes, oh, this is something completely different, she teams up with the ghost. And then to find out that it was her all along, I think that's so funny because it's just seeing her run out as if she just has to go because something came up instead of this ghost is about to haunt you. I'm gonna give it to her. She had her moment here. Courage getting his little therapy license, hilarious, absolutely love that. He's also just trying to keep them together. Oh my god, that was precious because those are his parents basically. He doesn't want to see them divorced even though Eustace sucks. As we saw in the Queen of the Black Petal episode, Muriel loves him, so Courage has to love him, or at least make sure that Muriel is happy because he's around. And seeing him get paranoid that Muriel is out to get him was ridiculous because when has Muriel done anything like this? Again, Eustace episodes don't really do it for me. This one's higher because we do get to see some type of compassion when it comes to Eustace. For some reason, not to Courage, but for this little boy. So that tells me maybe, was it because he saw himself? Because he couldn't really see, or was it that he just saw a little kid? Maybe he didn't recognize that it was himself, and maybe this is what he would have been like if they had children, even though Courage is his son, but whatever. Seeing that little slight compassion for a little kid was nice to see, even though he took it back once he saw Courage wearing his hat. But honestly, did he even recognize that he should be like this? Not really, because he never put it together that this was the reason why the curse was lifted. He still refused to believe in the curse. So did he really learn a lesson? No, but he did have a moment of compassion, which was nice to see for a change. I still think the initial curse was complete bullshit because she got so much stuff. Why do you need stuff from everyone in the house? You're just being greedy at that point. Get out of here. I would have kicked her out of my house if my dog pulled out his gold tooth for her and she's sitting there asking me for more. This was just a good old-fashioned, what is going on? What do you mean a timeshare in Mars? Like, what are you talking about? It was just funny. It had ridiculous moments, but it had a story. You know, it wasn't just a back and forth type of thing. They went on their mission. They had to figure out what the mission even was. Then they had to figure out how to complete the mission. And even though it had like random little things like Eustace being sucked out of the spaceship by the toilet, it all tied in together at the end. Mustafa, whatever, was absolutely disgusting. I hated seeing him. But he had better motivation than most villains. I mean, his species likes the cold. He's trying to sabotage the mission. He wanted it to be cold. He didn't want the sun to be fixed. And Muriel wasn't being super crazy for no reason. You know, she was able to rip out those wires and sabotage the mission while she was being controlled by Mustafa. And then the resolution was hilarious to me. Like, he goes down into a subway station to change the light bulb on the sun. Their rocket melted, but Muriel is just sitting there like hopping back and forth because it's a little hot. And then to get rescued by Eustace, finally for once being rescued by someone other than Courage. The only reason they did that was because of what happened earlier in the episode. Like, it feels like a more thought out episode. I just thought other villains were more threatening and also just scarier and not disgusting to look at. Now, they always get themselves in these situations because they cannot pass up a free trip. It will be working in the coal mine, but you'll get a 2-day timeshare out of it. They'll do it. They don't care as long as it's free. It's so funny. Of course, Muriel is just clueless as ever. She thinks that this is just a fun little thing that they're doing. Meanwhile, this man has taken them completely hostage on his boat. Eustace was gross because he just sells her out. He constantly sells out Muriel, and it's so annoying to watch. But like within the episode, it's not a hindrance to the episode. It's just I hate him. I thought Carmen was honestly just a great villain. I liked her design. I liked the fact that she isn't really a villain. I mean, she just looks like that. It's not her fault. And she performs beautiful music. And yeah, she lures people down to her cave, but it's just to give them a little show. The captain got his comeuppance. He got dragged, and Carmen helped bring him to safety. And then Eustace also got his comeuppance, even worse because he got kidnapped by the monkeys. And he deserved it because he sold Muriel out yet again. Again, much better story than other episodes. We get introduced to this place. We go to the place. We do what we gotta do on the boat. We make it into the water, and then we make it into an underground cave. You know, it flows. It's a story. It's not just back and forth and back and forth. I don't know if you can tell, but I clearly like those much better. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this one might be a little bit more biased because I just found Cowboy Courage absolutely adorable. I love that he dreams about these things. I think it's so cute. And it was a different type of episode. We don't really see Courage's dreams like that. So them doing something different like this, I really appreciated. I don't know about you guys, but I love when episodes do things like this where it's they're different characters, but they're played by the same character. I love that. Bob's Burgers does that a lot, and I honestly found the whip scary. He was a scary villain, but I didn't really like his resolution. It felt so childish. I just think they introduced the villain and everything for a little too long, because then by the time we get to know the whip and we see, him whipping everybody, literally, like their skin, then all of a sudden the episode has to end and we have to come up with a resolution quick. And what is it? In this cowboy town, Courage tips a pilot to drop a piano on him. Yeah, I get it, it's a dream. It's supposed to be ridiculous like that. But up until that point, nothing was this weird dream type of logic. It was pretty consistent because it was based on the story that he fell asleep hearing. So that's what really faults it, because I felt like at the beginning and the middle, it was doing a really good job pacing wise. And at the end, it was just, hey, let's just drop a piano on him. Can't really put it too much higher than this. This was pretty much the same thing as the Serpent episode. I just enjoyed it more because I thought it was funnier and we were kind of trapped as a family as opposed to Eustace betraying them. He is the reason why they're in this mess, because he took the hat and he wouldn't give it back even after they told them that they're going to sacrifice Muriel. That's why it's a little higher than the Serpent episode, but it had kind of the same concept. I mean, it had this giant statue and then the other one had a giant serpent. But this one, the way they resolved it, I think it tied in a lot better, because we saw the riddle in the beginning about greed, and then somehow Courage manages to take advantage of that little bit of greed that's still left in everyone, even the statue, by giving them fur coats. Like, why does he have an Amex? That's so funny. It was just more of a creative way to resolve it, but it still was just so random. And to see their entire society crumble at this was amazing. And then Eustace again finally getting what he wants, and it just completely fucking him over at the end. This happened with the briefcase of money. He was trapped in there. He had all his money, but he was trapped in there. Here he got his gold hat, turned him into stone. He gets what he wants sometimes, but it's just he's not supposed to get it. But as long as Muriel and Courage get out of there safely, I don't care. I remember this episode when I was a kid, so again, might be a little biased, but I feel like this entire video is biased. This is my opinion. We're not objective here. We see cute little dog, we rate high. No, but for real, this one was just fun because it was such an interesting concept. Having this conflict introduced from an outside character, again, different, even though he didn't really have much to do. After he got there, he just fell asleep. For me, this is just an entertaining episode to watch, but it's not at the top because, again, it's the back and forth from them being the past versions of themselves to the mummy getting to their house. It was a constant back and forth. But they were funny moments. Seeing him in the back of the truck, clearly like a immigration type of joke, like sneaking in, but then he has a legitimate passport. That is so funny. Call back to the flight attendant parachute lady. And then once again, Eustace paying for his crimes. He was this greedy little poobah back in the day, so he gets mummified at the end. The whole story with the poobah, the princess, and the baker, insane. I mean, like, as a kids show, we're watching someone pay for crimes that they didn't commit, and we see like this injustice in the world. This episode definitely opened up a lot more for me when I was younger, so that's why it's higher. But back and forth, not really a fan of, even though it was jokes, and it just missed out on the top 10. Okay, so now we're going to the top 10 of the season. But now these episodes, in my opinion, aren't the best overall, but definitely stood out in this season. This is the worst of the best. Cats always comes up with something absolutely ridiculous, and that's why I like him so much better. The cat kind of does like the same thing over and over again. Cats has different motivations. You know, one is to feed his spiders, one is because he went absolutely crazy on a deserted island. I have no idea what he was doing there. This one is because he constantly keeps losing to Muriel. He's a loser. Those type of people are the best when it comes to a revenge plot because they will stop at nothing to get what they want. He created a monster just to bring her to his lair. He is not doing the dirty work anymore. He is creating life to do that for him. And we see a character trait of Eustace constantly looking for food that helped bring him to Muriel's location. He also tries to save Muriel, even though it's more selfish because he just wants his food. He still tries to help her, which is something we don't really see. It's usually Courage doing it. And we also saw Muriel yelling at him to help her because he was being ridiculous. I enjoy those little things. 1000% ready to use that taffy maker on Eustace and Courage. Muriel, he needed to wait a little bit, but after he got his information, he was 1000% going to use that taffy maker on them. And that just shows what a threat Katz is. He doesn't play around. It's such a ridiculous end goal, but he does the most to get to it. I mean, what? He just wants to win a little contest, so he's gonna kill 2 people and their dog to get it? That's insane. We finally get a computer-focused episode, even though it's not really just the computer, it's the computer in Muriel's body. They knew not to make him upload into Eustace because Courage is not saving Eustace like that. And it was just so precious to see how Courage really just does anything and everything to save Muriel no matter how scared he is. And seeing the computer kind of realize that, okay, these creatures, these living creatures don't just have the emotion fear in them. They have so many other emotions and complex feelings that drive them to do things. Because he's a computer, he thinks logically. He doesn't understand this concept of love. And you saw him realize that, completely fall back on this idea that humans are like these weak creatures because they have fear in them. Because he saw Courage do the things he did even though he was terrified. He still was able to do them because the love for Muriel drove him much more than the fear he has for whatever they were doing. It's just not super high because it's not really back and forth, but it's kind of like little shenanigans. They do a stunt, he goes home in the wheelchair. They do a stunt, goes home in the wheelchair, do a stunt, and then they get to go home. A lot of the episode was just trying to do the most outrageous thing, and I think the overall message kind of got lost in it sometimes. Great episode. Is just comparatively, there were other episodes that I found more entertaining. Okay, this villain is absolutely insane. The way he talks in just this nasally voice that seems non-threatening, but they're probably serial killers. Do you know what I'm talking about? And that's what this guy is. He's an absolute nightmare. I wanted to experiment on them. And that's what makes this so much higher than the other ones, is because the freaky experiments he did. And on top of that, there was another victim in the lint lady who lost her hands and feet and got them replaced with suction cups. That's insane. And then seeing Muriel and Eustace go through all these experiments in such a graphic way too, it was just shocking to see all that happen to them. The thing that really dragged it down was the gerbil song, because again, back and forth. It was just him going through the river, hearing the song whilst things are happening to Muriel and Eustace. But what really saved it was the ending. I mean, that song choice, a choice was made, and I think the correct choice was made. It really just made that entire ending so much more dramatic and so much more enthralling than it would have been if it was just regular little sound effects and, you know, the regular stuff that they'd be using. This was just a completely different experience, and I really wish they never showed him at the bottom, because if they didn't, it would have been so much more impactful. But kids show, they have to show that he survived. But yeah, that ending really boosted this episode up high, and also the experiments. This was just a good old-fashioned Courage the Cowardly Dog creepy-ass episode. A strange visitor at night who turns out to be an alien, a creature, whatever, non-human thing, there for nefarious purposes. In this case, a disgusting-looking alien there to extract kindness so that his evil overlord brain can know what it is so that they don't use it when they take over the planet. And this alien, oh my god, I find aliens so scary because they just have different limits than us, so little things that they do will completely ruin us, and it's just terrifying to me. I mean, you saw what he did to Courage. That's so sad and scary. Eustace didn't really have much to do. I mean, it was really Muriel, and seeing her become horrible to Courage was just so awful to see. I mean, I don't think I've ever wanted a resolution to happen quicker than this episode, because I could not stand seeing how mean Muriel was. It's not just Courage that loves Muriel. We all love Muriel at this point. You know, silly resolution. I mean, he just splashed the alien, and then Courage's little fake ass blows them up. This time we did not see them survive. They just completely blew up, and they deserved it. The ending was random though. I don't know why they're all of a sudden everywhere. Maybe because the brain blew up and there's like little bits and pieces, like those are their little bits and pieces. I don't know. Creepy and gross, and just, ooh, I loved it. I love the design too. It's just a disgusting alien, and like, you know, something is off with this person, but you don't know what it is. And then, ew, it takes a sip out of the cup and it just drips down. Guys, that's scary. I don't know, guys. I enjoyed seeing them play bingo together, and then just the way that the time went forward that quick was something I haven't really seen. I mean, like, what, the earth is just spinning faster, so time is moving faster. All of it, that was just really creative. And the choice to make the future inhabitants of Earth banana creatures, hilarious. I thought all of it really flowed well. There's this person who's trying to kidnap babies. Courage. You have to put on these skin suits to blend in. And then the twist that this whole banana hollow place is just somewhere where these bananas get eaten. And then the other twist that the mayor sending the bananas there is just another chimp as well. And it's like this whole plot, like, where did they even come from? So much craziness, and I will admit that when I watched this when I was younger, I did not understand any of it. So maybe that's why I'm very like into this episode, because now that I'm an adult, I really am trying to dig deep into what the heck was going on, but there's just no answer. It was just a silly little episode. I thought it had its funny moments, and I thought it was scary. The bathroom scene was scary, just seeing someone creep up on you and then throw you down the drain. And then the monkey, I mean, I know they're just bananas, but these are the sentient inhabitants, so seeing them get peeled and eaten, I mean, you saw the pile of banana skins. There was a lot of victims, and they got their comeuppance at the end, and then we get to go back home. That's just a nice clean resolution, which I enjoyed. This one, I will admit, is a little higher because of the villain design. This season is for some reason very realistic, which I do not mind. I think that's so much fun. This isn't a lot of people's memories when it comes to Courage the Cowardly Dog because of the villain. It's not necessarily an evil villain, it's just a spirit who is angry that they have nothing to offer, and they don't have anything to offer because they don't appreciate the soil. It was a great lesson in being kind to the land. You know, Eustace over here stepping on the flowers. You're not supposed to do that. We did take a little too long to get to the actual villain. He wasn't there for that long, maybe like a little less than half of the episode, because it had like the whole ghost type of introduction. But I think watching for the first time, very jarring to see that thing just in the middle of the basement. After you've watched so many of these episodes where it's like, oh my god, it's probably just a ghost. Like, it's that is crazy. But because of that, it's higher. I love the villain. It's an angry spirit, and then once, you know, they showed appreciation, he congratulated them and went away because he was just there to teach them a lesson. It was really scary though, seeing everything melt in the basement and seeing how hot they were. The relief when the doors opened. I mean, I know it's a cartoon, but I hate being hot. So just seeing the sweat finally stop made me feel so much better. I do wish though, since the entire household was getting punished for this, I do wish that maybe the entire household could have helped. I mean, they were pretty much just stuck in the basement, Muriel and Eustace bickering, and Courage was the one saving it. I think if they all helped, maybe they all could have appreciated it even more. But what can you do? I mean, we have a crazy looking villain. Bias again because we're in New York City. So much fun. Love location changes on the show. I mean, they do it so often. I remember so much of it being at the farmhouse, but no, there's so much outside. We get to explore the world. I love seeing Courage on the subway. I love the cops just following him for no damn reason. Bushwick was like annoying though. He was just gross. What is he doing there? We had the best moment, which was the flu girl. That whole package sequence, like getting the package, going to the scary house to get the package, was absolutely terrifying. But everyone loves that sequence. It's just one of those moments that just sticks with you from the moment you see it. It's a very impactful scene. I know I haven't forgotten about it. And I don't even remember this episode. I just remember that one scene. We had a little bit of callbacks. We had the weasels driving the carriage. We had the dragon, the three-headed dragon TV thing that we also saw in the LaQuack episode. I thought the whole thing with the squeegee was like dumb. I don't know. It was just a reason for Courage to be out in the city. But I mean, it just didn't even matter. I wanted him to be in the city. I didn't care what he was doing because that's really what the city is about. And you know, Muriel got to perform because she won. And then Bushwick got caught and arrested. Disgusting cockroach. He was a gross looking villain too. I will give him that. And then there was that threat of whatever was behind that little door that got Eustace at the end. Part of me likes to think that this thing jumped in front of their truck to get hit on purpose to be able to get into their house. I just think that this was just no coincidence. I think he planned this. This episode freaked me out. Just seeing him crawling on the ceiling and turning his head. They also did something really fun this episode that they don't really do in other ones. They weren't changing the music to match their movement. They were changing their movement to match the music. So when they had those little stings and they moved, it made it more terrifying. And then just seeing him, I don't want to say it because it sounds gross, but just seeing him, I'm going to say eat because I'm not going to say what he's actually doing. Seeing him eat them like that and just their bodies getting smaller and smaller and just to the point where Eustace is just blowing in the wind and being turned into dust, and Muriel, someone we see plump all the time, just be this stick figure, and then the bug just taking pictures of her. It was so creepy in like a gross way, like a repulsive way, and also just in he's just a gross, disgusting creep type of way, you know? And poor Courageman, he really tried. He didn't have to eat that gross broccoli, but he did for them. And I just love how creative he is sometimes, you know, having him just eat himself. That's so funny. Because how greedy are you? You can't just stop for a second. So yeah, definitely like that. Definitely like the resolution to it. He uses as a flower, and then Muriel immediately gaining all her weight back after Courage makes her a little meal. I love it. I know, surprising that this is not at the very, very top. I thought it was a great episode, but I think it had no choice to be because it had so much more time than the other ones to really develop a story. I think since this has double the amount of time, I think it should be 2 times as good. I just felt like they were pretty evenly matched. That's why I put it at number 2. A lot of this episode is focused on the villain. We want to see what makes him the way he is, which was something we don't see as much. The last time we saw it was Robot Randy, which is the 2nd episode of the season. We're seeing this lonely lost doctor that just wants affection, but because he can't get it, absolutely no one can. And to have the happy poems that Muriel puts all of her love into be what saves everyone was beautiful. Just making them in the beginning, and they were so happy when they're making it. It was So cute. I love them together. I love the things that they do together. And I just love seeing all of it be so strong that it actually makes a difference in other people. Like, the hangman scene was so funny. I was cackling watching this. I think when they do humor, they do it very well. And this villain was not a stupid little villain like Basil. This is an evil genius, and he is threatening. He was choking Courage for a good 3 minutes. I don't know if you guys noticed that. And when Courage was able to reverse the potion to make everything lovable, the rage you saw in this doctor's face when he was getting ready to off Courage was intense. Episodes where Muriel and Courage's love and care are the solution really just hit home for me. They're both so precious. This one was more emotional for me than the last episode because this is emotional for Courage, and then the Tower episode was emotional for just this random doctor that I don't care about. So that's why this one is number 1. Seeing Courage finally be happy, it just brings so much joy to my soul because he deserves it. He does absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, he does the opposite. He does so much good. He deserves good for himself too. And this tree was able to give that to them. It's not like they even were greedy with it. Once again, Eustace's jealousy just ruins absolutely everything. But this is just who he is at this point, so I can't fault an episode for just portraying him exactly the way he is. Seeing Courage's tears after the tree gets cut down was horrible, but then the comfort that the tree gave him to not be sad and to find some good in his death was beautiful. Like, it's moments like this where I'm like, damn, there's a reason why this show is so beloved. But you know, after all that, what happens at the end, Eustace gets what he deserves. It really shows his hatefulness. He wishes bad things upon his own wife that does nothing but take care of him, all because he was jealous that Courage grew something and he couldn't. And every time he ramps it up a little bit more, there's another episode where he ramps it up even more. But to me, that's kind of just slowly making him into probably the worst villain in the show. Alright guys, that was it for season 2. This season was a little weaker than the first season, I will admit. Courage, the season he was babbling so much more. He did have his little catchphrases here and there, but overall just incoherent babble. I don't know if maybe the first season they made him talk a little too much, that they completely toned it down this season. A lot of these episodes were just these ridiculous scenarios as opposed to telling the story within those ridiculous scenarios. So I will put it below season 1 as a whole. If you made it this far, thank you so much once again for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying. I cannot wait to do season 3 and 4 with you guys. Every time I edit these videos, I fall in love with this show all over again. It's ridiculous. I love this show so much. Please make sure you subscribe and leave a like because this takes me a really long time. And I will see you for season 3. Bye!
Blue dreams, I'm with the stars when I face blunt. She a nightmare, but it'd be hard for me to wake up. Let me know a choice to cut her off and get my cake up. Fuck a whole comments and my soul is all I'm saving. Your heart, I got